Hi, I'm Kumsal. I'm going to be your host in this video, where we will cover a CRM solution that I developed using Notion. Uh, let's do a definition first. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Manager. It's usually a web application where you keep records of people you have met. So hopefully you have been networking either online or offline, but over time you are going to find out that you need to remember certain details about people, maybe how recently you met them or something important about the conversation. So you need a system. So whether you use Excel or pen and paper, just remember to keep track of these details. So in this video, I'm going to share with you what I'm doing using Notion. So it's a lean method and hopefully it will help you. So in the end of the video, I'm going to show you two alternatives and maybe you would like to share with me your own experience and suggestions. So please welcome. Let's get started. Okay, let's start with a brand new Notion account. Your setup may be different by the time you practice this tutorial. So I have the following entries here. So we are going to start with a new page. I'm going to call this CRM. So under this, I'm going to include two databases. So that way I can, nest multiple entities. So I think one of them will be organizations. So I'm just going to write it as text for the moment. I'm brainstorming. So we will also need something like people. And in most CRMs, there's a concept called campaigns. So that's usually for B2C, business to customers, so that multiple campaigns can still target the same people, so you can keep track of your campaigns. Maybe these are promotions, coinciding with holidays, that kind of thing. Since you are in game development, campaigns will most likely be you reaching out to publishers, investors, or other people. You may keep track of that under people, writing notes in the people entries. But just so you know, maybe you want to keep track of campaigns. So maybe this is some kind of yearly announcement, that sort of thing. Maybe you want to include some names under campaigns. We are not going to cover this in this tutorial. Maybe in the future, if I do a follow-up video, we can include it. For now, I'm going to keep it simple. So we are going to have organizations and people. So let's turn this into a database. I'm just going to delete the text. So I'm going to do slash and type database. I don't want to do the inline because then it's going to add everything under this page. I just want it to be a full page. So let's do a full page database. So that's going to put this new page under CRM folder. Let's call this folder. So since this is going to be organizations and I cut the text from the previous page, so this is going to be our organizations database. So this is essentially an empty database. By default, it comes with name, tags, and other things you want to add. We're going to look into this right away. Let's go and do the same thing for people. So slash database, full page, same idea, people. So maybe we should introduce some icons here so it's easier to keep track of things. People might be, let's say these are people, okay? And organizations, maybe it can have some kind of a like corporation or some kind of building. This looks like some building. And you can pick a different icon for the topmost folder. Some kind of like record keeping, maybe some kind of book like this. Okay. So the order here doesn't matter, but people is usually where I start. So name is a good entry. So I'm not going to separate it into first name and last name. That's up to you. You can keep two separate fields. Name is comprehensive enough. Usually I like an email field. So luckily there is a specific field for that here, email. And this is the text that you are going to see in the column. So on that note, let's go to tags. This is a useful property type. Let's actually click the edit property. So this is a multi-select. This looks like bullet point icon. So this lets you type multiple properties for a particular entry. So thus multi-select. So tags, you could leave it as, tags. I actually call this sort of particular details. This means for me that like maybe the name of the conference where I met this person, or if I know that this person works in finance or marketing, or there's something specific about this person's role, that maybe I need a marketing person, then I can come here and then filter my entries. So on that note, let's create our first entry. So let's open this field or this entry. So this here, looking at the columns, this entry is going to have name, particular details, and email. So when you expand it, you're going to see them in this format. So the name is here at the top. It's sort of like the ID of this entry. It's a unique field, which doesn't mean names can't be duplicated. There is still a separate ID system, but for your purposes, it's unique enough. So let's call this person Alicia, and I don't care about the last names at this point. Let's just pretend that we are filling out some details because we are going to construct the rest of the columns here too. So let's say this person is in marketing, and I met this person at a conference last year. I think there was PG Connect in Toronto last July. So I'm gonna call it PG Toronto 2023. If you want to write down the month name, that's also okay too. Some conferences happen quite regularly every few months. Maybe you want to separate it by month too. Maybe it's PGC July or some other conference name with the month. So this is enough for me. So naturally this list will grow longer, but you can always pick the ones that are relevant to this person. So let's call this person's email address info@alicia.com. So we could go back to the main interface, keep adding more columns, or we can add more properties here. Let me look into my notes, and yeah, another important field that actually two fields related to each other is the contact information. This is separate from email. By contact information, I mean date-wise. What is the last contact date? And for that reason, I'm going to select date. And here in the label, I'm going to type in last contact. This is the date when I last contacted this person. Let's do 24-hour time format. It doesn't matter, kind of depends on where you live, perhaps. Full date is usually good for me, and type is date, we already selected. So I click away. So this is the last contact date. Let's say I talked to this person last Monday. I'm selecting it. Similarly, another date and property, next contact. It is also going to be a date, property. This is good. Okay. So maybe in a couple of weeks, I want to contact this person again. And maybe I need to remind myself of the reason why I want to contact this person. I'm going to select a new property type here, text. In what context? What is the reason I want to contact this person? So I can type in a quick note here. Maybe I'm going to ask about here marketing packages. Maybe we briefly talked about how they can help us, but I need to know more about maybe like pricing info, right? This is what I want to call them. And by calling them, I know that most of us kind of don't like to be on the phone. We, prefer emails, but sometimes video calls. If the contact method is phone, also you can include phone. There's a field for that. Since that's obvious, I'm going to skip it. It's just another silly field there. Let me look into my notes again. Particular details, that's done. Maybe the contact method, I said maybe phone is not the best way, but maybe they have a preferred way to be contacted. So I'm going to do another multi-select field here, and this is going to be reach through or reach via. So let's add this, and maybe this person liked to be contacted on LinkedIn, or maybe that's where you first contacted them and it seems to be working out just fine. You send them a message, they respond quickly. Maybe that's Discord, right? Maybe it's email. You could even type phone here. In that case, maybe you have a phone field. Include as many methods as you can. And right now I use this person's information sheet to populate the fields. Maybe they have multiple ways they like to be reached, but let's say there's just one. I just use this to populate the fields, but you can actually select one. So I'm going to reduce it to only LinkedIn. And since LinkedIn is part of our conversation right now, I also have a URL field. You can either call this sort of LinkedIn URL or kind of like a relevant URL. Maybe they have a personal website. It could be that too. So it's either their LinkedIn profile URL or website. Anything that makes sense. Actually, looking at their email address, perhaps they have a domain name alisha.com. Maybe this should be alisha.com too. So you can go and update yourself on their progress. Again, looking at my notes, since we are collecting all this information about this person and we want to store it, at some point, I guess we are going to be concerned about our relationship with this person, because it could, at some point it will start and our relationship with this person will get to a point that maybe you will be a business partner, or you will be a good friend, or you will still have some difficulty in reaching this person. So something like relationship level. So that could be maybe not multi-select, but a select field. Let's investigate that. You can right away add the options under here, or set the field and then populate it as you go. I believe it lets you do that. But the name of this field should be your relationship. And I'm going to put this in the right context because this is not about friendship level of relationship. So we are discussing business relationship here. Now you could have, in the sort of technical CRM world, people usually talk about it as like leads. A customer is first labeled as a lead, and then actually for them to be a customer, they start as a lead and you develop the relationship, then eventually they will turn into a customer. So like they are going to be a paying person, right? So the goal is to take a lead and convert that lead into a client. But that kind of sounds a little bit ruthless and cold, let's say, in our gaming world, right? Game industry. So maybe you have still cold relationship, or sort of, just at the beginning. And this is like playing that cold and hot game. Like, are things warming up, right? Maybe your relationship is warming up. So I'm again using this field to populate different options, but since the data type is select, it can only let me pick one. And maybe at some point your relationship is at a point that let's call it casual. So you could easily write to this person and pick up where you left off, that kind of thing. Maybe with this person you also do business, so you can organize this any way you want. And at some point, maybe for any reason, either you are told so, or you decided on your own that you should never contact this person, or it's just not worth your time, that kind of thing, like do not contact. So in the classic CRM applications, sometimes customers will ask you like, okay, take me off your list, that kind of thing. The entry will still be there, but you will not be reached. So maybe you want to compile lists later, so you could filter out people with this relationship value. And I think another thing that I usually add here, which then I believe moved it into particular details, whether some people that can be service providers. Maybe you work with an outsourcing studio. Like, not everybody will be people that you are gonna sell to, or you are gonna do sort of a business deal. Like, they don't have to be a publisher, but sometimes you buy services from other people. So maybe your relationship might be a vendor type. So this person and you have a service relationship. So that is also possible too. You may also put that vendor value under particular details too. So maybe, but I mean, that's kind of self-implied, right? If Alicia is in marketing, I'm considering her as being a vendor, but maybe relationship field, including vendor, meaning that I'm actually actively buying from this person. So we moved our relationship to the level that she's now a vendor for me. That's why I like to include it here. And again, it doesn't have to be casual. Like, you could sometimes buy from vendors that you just keep it as a business relationship. Depends. Like, this is flexible. Most typical CRMs are a little bit over-engineered, but they don't have the flexibility to include same keywords in multiple fields. So in Notion, I like that flexibility, so you can go about it any way you want. So for now, let's say our relationship is warming up. What else? So particular details right now is showing that I met her at PGC Toronto, which brings me to another field. I'm typing its source, but I shouldn't. I should be choosing another multi-select. This could even be actually a single select one, but let's go with multiple select. I click out, and I'm gonna fill the field here, source. So source is, let's say, where did I meet this person? So I know that looking into particular details, I see the conference name, but that field will be populated as I go. So eventually, maybe I will want to know originally where I met this person. So I met her at a conference. And sometimes it's a word of mouth, meaning, well, someone else tells you that maybe you should meet this person, and maybe you're introduced. It's the word of mouth. Someone else introduces you to this person, In that case, we are going to need 2 more fields soon. I'm going to explain that. But chances are this is going to be a single field, and I believe we can do that by changing the field type, edit property. So we are going to change multi-select to select, and the values will be kept. So we met her at a conference. So where else can we meet this person? Again, this could be LinkedIn, right? Maybe you found one of their posts, you interacted with this person, you wanted to talk over the phone or video call, and now she's an entry here, and you need to remember where you met her. So this is helpful when you want to report later. Maybe you should focus more of your efforts on LinkedIn, because it yields better results. You get to know more people through LinkedIn. It's gonna help you filter your sources. Again, this might be Twitter, that's where you met this person, that kind of thing. So feel free to populate this. Again, with the power of other fields, so say I want to know how many people are coming through Twitter, what's my relationship level. You can run multiple filters. I'm not going to show that right away, but as I mentioned, I should show the as I said, the word of mouth kind of reference sort of like deal. Luckily, we can do a person here, if I recall. No, relation. So say this entry, what's the relation of this entry to another entry? So when you select that, it's going to ask you how this entry is related to any other entry in different databases. So right now in my CRM folder, let's call it, because that was the uppermost structure. Underneath, so far I have created people and organizations. So this entry is going to be related to another entry in the people database, such that, let's see, the relationship here is important. I may have to revisit this because I don't usually deal with this, but it's always trial and error. Let's try and then see if it's yielding a result. So this feels correct to me, but we'll see. So for this to work, I need to create another entry. So let's say this is Boris, and Boris is working in maybe finance. Maybe this is the person we want to talk to get money from their company, or like maybe they represent a publisher, that sort of thing. We don't know the context yet, but let's pretend their email address is info@boris.com. We haven't contacted them yet. Maybe I want to contact them in 2 weeks too. And I was told to contact them through Discord. So related people is Alicia, but I think we should label this as referred or referred by. So I'm going to introduce a second field because when I did this the first time, I thought about it as a sort of like a one-way information sort of lane, right? But then I thought person A may refer person B, but then when I look at the person B's record, I also would like to see if person B was referred by person A. So there are actually going to be 2 fields, like this guy referring another guy, and that another guy is referred by the first guy, that kind of thing. So I think I'm going to call this referred, and let's introduce another relation. Again, people referred by. And here, if I recall, I actually chose the relationship in a way that this looked circular. Type is correct. This is the two-way relation, yes. So this is going to be circular. So this is how is it related to another property on people? Related back. Okay, let's do this and then see, because we can always fix it. So I'm going to go back to Alicia. So I guess when I do that, it's automatically adding that extra field. So we are going to see. So maybe we are going to remove this referred because that's already implied by this, by virtue of creating referred by, going about it in sort of two ways. Let's see. Boris is going to be referred by Alicia, right? So it's done. So when I go back to Alicia's account, Alicia is, well, we know that she's referring Boris. So therefore, this field that we prematurely created can go. So I'm going to click this area, remove the property, and I'm going to rename this referred. So by clicking both ways, like the two-way, where is it? The two-way, the cyclical option, you can create one field and it's automatically going to create the second field. The first time I did it, I made the same mistake. I thought I needed to create two fields separately and sort of somehow connect them, but you could do that in one go. Only after the fact, like you can go and then rename the fields. So now Alicia referred Boris, and if you click this text Boris, it's automatically going to open Boris account, and Boris is referred by Alicia. So now we can go back and forth. This is kind of important because if you know someone who's referring a bunch of people, let's say Alicia is that kind of person, in Alicia's referred field, you are going to have a long list of people that she help you connect with. So that might also be important. Again, you can run a filter and maybe say like on average, you want to know people who let you connect with at least 3 people. Maybe it's that kind of connection. So what else can we add? Organizations is a similar idea, since we are in the sort of relationship business, like it's going to another entry. This time we are going to use the relation field, but not going into the people database. It's going to go to the organizations database. And this can just be a simple connection. You can even show on organizations, meaning this entry will also be populated in the organizations. You may choose this too, so that way you can go back and forth. And let's add an organization. So maybe she works at Acme Corporation, right? So I typed the name. It didn't have such a corporation, so I first pressed enter. That let me create an organization, and now that entry is solid. It's actually added. That's why it's showing this minus. You can unlink it, which means when I click away, I'm going to see it. So here you can have multiple organizations where this person works or she's affiliated with. Because sometimes people are working at different places. It's either part-time or they are part of the organization, either as a consultant or they're in the, what's the term, the board of, the management sort of board. So let's click the Acme Corp. This is going to open the entry, which could also be accessed by going to the organization's database. And by default, these databases come with 3 entries, and that's why it's added as 4th item, which is also the reason why in the first place, when we were looking at Alicia and when we wanted to add an organization, when we were filtering stuff or creating a new sort of entry, there were 3 untitled entries here. Those untitled entries are essentially these 3 empty ones. You can type some other name here. Let's say this is Evil Corp, something like that, right? And maybe I don't really need these 2. I mean, why not fill them anyway? But just for this tutorial's sake, sorry, I just want to show you the entries populated in related fields in other databases. So just like you can go back and forth between Alicia and Boris because they are related, you can also click the corporation name and open the kind of the card or the entry detail for this corporation without having to go to the organization's database. I'm technically still in this view, but I'm bringing in another entries information here, so I can conveniently go back and forth. So let me check my notes if I am actually finished with people database. Let's quickly go back because maybe we'll come back and then do some stuff in organizations. So we did reach via context is fine. Relevant URL is taken care of. Relationship source is taken care of. Okay, organizations is done. But what is this person's title? So the title could also be multi-select. What is their role in these organizations? Again, this could be multiple entries or multiple sort of like values for this entry. So she could be a founder at this organization. She could also be having a different kind of role at a different organization. So you could do multiple things. And let's assume your relationship is at a level that you remember those details about this person. Like maybe you don't need to know if she's the founder at Acme Corp or some other title at a different organization. If that is the case and you want to separate, you want to keep things separate, maybe write a comment here, or chances are you will directly go to their LinkedIn and then get that kind of information, because you don't really need to keep separate, like organization 1, organization 2, different fields, and then for each organization what is their relevant title. If that's how you want to organize it, it's flexible, go for it, but I think I usually find this enough. Phone is fine. Referred by, we just did it. Something that I found recently is time zone. So for that reason, I'm going to include a URL here, which kind of doesn't make much sense right now, but I usually do time and date lookup. Let's say this person lives in Calgary. And I type the city's name. This is a very convenient URL. And I type this here. So when I want to send a meeting request to this person, luckily most meeting booking applications figure out the time zones and such. That's okay. But sometimes I need to know where this person lives because I'm going to send maybe a time sensitive message, right? I need to know if she's going to be able to answer in a timely fashion, like maybe it's important to me, and I know that they are 2 hours behind me, so this way I can maybe strategize. So whatever is important, you could add them as fields. So far we've been using the entry detail. You could be adding those fields by coming to this right hand side and adding plus, so it's going to keep adding new columns. I find the other sort of entry detail view much more convenient. And maybe one thing you can do here is to sort this the column order, but you can do so here in detail too. You can drag and drop the columns or the properties for this person. So let's go to organizations, and we can use Acme Corp as the medium where we can add more details. So name is already done. Name is name. That's not obviously populated here, but you know that the name field here is basically the entry here. The company can have an email field. Let's call it email. Maybe I clicked the wrong thing. Let's go to organizations. Yeah, I think I highlighted it and deleted it. Okay. Acme Corp, email. I must have pressed the wrong thing. This looks like a checkbox, so let's edit property. This is not going to be a checkbox, it's going to be an email. Similarly, they can have a website field. And maybe you want to keep their LinkedIn URL separately. And this is going to be some company, something like this. We already know the people who work at Acme Corp. So full address, this could be a big text field. So again, if you want to create separate fields for postal code, street address, that kind of thing, go for it. This is good enough. I usually keep a separate field for country. That means it's a single select thing, one option thing. So country. So let's say they're in Germany. And then you populate this as you go. Could be like Canada, US, that kind of thing. So if it's a multinational corporation, maybe you want to turn this field into multi-select. You have that flexibility. The tag part here, let's not omit that. Just as you have particular details for a person, maybe an important sort of multi-select field for a company can be maybe their industry. Now, it may seem a little bit counterproductive at first because, as gamers or game developers, we would like to think that everybody we talk to will be game companies, but maybe not necessarily. Sometimes maybe you want to have a trailer done, right? So maybe this company who is doing game trailers, they are not necessarily developing games, but they are doing sort of multimedia services, right? Or it's a financial corporation. They lend money to people who approach them. So you bring a business plan, so they finance your project. So maybe it's a financial corporation, right? They are in finance, or they are in like multimedia, that kind of thing. Most likely, you're gonna type publisher here. So this company will be a publisher. But then there can be other types of, sorry, I think I'm mixing up something. So industry here in this context should actually be video games. Like they can be in the video games industry. I'm gonna correct myself here. But maybe another similar field, it should be sort of like service detail or operations, right? I think I was kind of relating those two fields, but they don't necessarily need to have the same values. So maybe this publisher should be deleted. They are functioning in the video games industry as a publisher. So this is a more appropriate way of separating things. And sometimes they will be in, a different kind of industry, and their operations will be something else. So it can be as granular as you want. Again, anything that helps you find things later. Yes, we discussed industry versus particular details. Sometimes the operation will be marketing, as I was saying. Maybe they are also doing marketing, and they're a publisher, but they also take care of marketing, and they function in the video games industry. It's going to be rare that a company will be in different industries. There are companies like that, of course, but for most indies, you are usually going to one sort of company functioning in one big domain. So what else? LinkedIn, website, country, it's all done. Full address is also done. The people field is done thanks to introducing it in the people database. So originally I wrote it down here as like, we need to have a people field of relation type. That's already built in because we constructed it in the people entry. So now we can easily go back and forth between organizations and people. So let's go to people and create another entry. Let's say this person's name is Charles. Charles also works at Acme Corp. So as you can see, the list is now bringing all available organizations. When this list gets long, filtering here is very convenient. If you don't have that corporation, clicking it will create it, and then you can go back and forth and update relevant details. So right now Acme Corp is fine. Let's also pretend that this person's email address is this, and maybe this is how much I know, because like I don't want to populate it right now. And when I go to Acme Corp, I get to see 2 people working. So this is a very convenient way to populate as you go. And then, like I said, maybe a third main database here might be campaigns. I'm just going to discuss it. I'm not going to go through it because the exercise will be very similar to how I constructed the relations or relationship between people and organizations. But a campaign can mean maybe out of 100 people that exist in this CRM setup, you want to send an email to 50 of them. So you can create a campaign where you create a field and you say like the list of people I want to email to, and then for that field's value you get to select the relevant people. You can also approach this exercise from a different point of view, which is going into people. You can create a filter. You want to filter by whatever condition is important to you, and it's going to reduce the number of items that are visible here. And then maybe you export that list and you dump it into MailChimp or whatever you want to do. Like I said, maybe you want to approach it in a more permanent way under campaigns as a database entry, or it's a temporary effort and you just filter out and export lists. So that's just basically an extension of what I have shown you. I think on that note, I'm going to conclude this exercise because this is really all there is about keeping a CRM application or CRM hosting service. The reason why I presented this work is because most CRM solutions that I have used or I have seen other people use are over engineered, and the moment you want to do custom stuff, you're kind of fighting with the applications admin screens, like some kind of like backend parts. There's these services are available online, meaning they are either free or you create an account, you pay some money, and you have access to some behind the scenes options. Or you if you want to go about it in a lot of like sort of like you want to fine tune everything. Some of these solutions are also hosted, which means you can download them and host them on your domain. Then you really have to know what you're doing, because you have full access to the programming, right? Because when you pay the online service, they are gonna give access to their application to the point that like you don't screw up their whole operation, right? But when you host your own solution, you can do much more, which means you actually really now need to figure out how the tool works, which means you have to read their documentation, all that stuff. So most of them are actually very handy. But over time, what I've found, like I didn't like the complexity, because all I needed was maybe leads, okay, but then those leads in classic sales terms, it leads to a contact, which means this person is no longer a prospect, but it's a contact. This person is someone you can sell to. And then, you know, these notions are a little bit blurry, like it's an account, it's a contact. Whether you could make a sale to this person or to their business, it's an opportunity. Why can't it be just a simple person? So that's why I'm creating my own system here. It's a person that I know and I can have a relationship with, and I can keep track of my connection with this person. So in whatever detail I want to introduce here, I found this very hard to manage in other applications, so maybe they work out for you, but this is simple. I can easily access any account I want and then create my own campaigns, and that's really about it. So thank you for listening, and I hope this was useful. If you think so, please share, and I would also like to hear your suggestions or comments. Maybe I'm forgetting an important field here, maybe something that in your practice you saw useful, so please let me know. So thank you, and see you in the next videos.